The women's 200 meters at the AIT Grand Prix was not simply a fast indoor race, but a precise demonstration of how controlled aggression and technical efficiency can converge into a record-breaking performance led by Phil Healy. From a structural standpoint, indoor 200 meters racing imposes constraints that fundamentally reshape execution compared to outdoor conditions. The tighter radius of the bends increases centripetal demands, forcing athletes to balance stride frequency and ground contact time more carefully than in a standard 400-meter track environment. This means that raw speed alone is rarely sufficient. Instead, success depends on how efficiently an athlete distributes force through the curve while preserving forward momentum into the straight. The race composition added another layer of tactical complexity. Athletes like Charlotte Wingfield and Jessica Bianca Wasali brought contrasting profiles. Wingfield with her championship exposure and aggressive early phase tendencies. Wasoli with her proven ability to sustain high-velocity phases from prior international results. Meanwhile, Nikola Bendova represented a hybrid model, combining 200-meter speed with 400-meter endurance qualities. However, what separated Healy from this field was not just physical condition, but race modeling clarity. From the gun, her acceleration phase was deliberately measured rather than explosive. This is critical indoors because overcommitting in the first 40 meters often leads to excessive lateral force on the bend, reducing efficiency and increasing deceleration risk. Healy instead prioritized posture stability, keeping her center of mass aligned and minimizing unnecessary vertical oscillation. Through the first curve, her stride pattern remained compact yet powerful. Each ground contact was placed with precision, allowing her to maintain traction without overstriding. This is where many athletes lose efficiency indoors, but Healy maintained a consistent rhythm, which allowed her to exit the bend with preserved kinetic energy rather than rebuilding speed. The transition into the top bend became the defining phase of the race. Here, Healy initiated a controlled increase in cadence rather than a sudden surge. Her arm mechanics became more pronounced, driving force vertically and horizontally while maintaining balance against the curve. This phase is often where races are lost due to premature fatigue, but Healy's timing ensured that her velocity increase aligned with the point where other athletes began to plateau. Because of the staggered lanes, visual feedback is limited, which places greater emphasis on internal pacing awareness. Healy's execution suggests a highly refined sense of spatial and temporal control. She was not reacting to competitors, but running against a predefined model, likely targeting split efficiency rather than position. As she entered the final straight, the race shifted from mechanical discipline to neuromuscular resilience. The final 50 meters of an indoor 200 meters are particularly punishing due to accumulated lactate and reduced stride elasticity. Yet Healy maintained form integrity. Her knee lift remained consistent, and ground contact times did not visibly increase, which indicates strong conditioning and efficient energy utilization. Her finishing phase was not a desperate lean or collapse into the line, but a continuation of structured sprint mechanics. This is often the clearest indicator of elite performance, the ability to sustain technical form under maximal fatigue. The resulting time of 23.10 seconds must be evaluated within this context. Indoor times are typically slower than outdoor equivalents due to track geometry and reduced straight length. Therefore, achieving a national record in such conditions reflects not just peak speed, but optimized execution across all phases. The historical significance is amplified by the longevity of the previous record, which had stood since 2003. Such durability suggests that previous attempts failed not due to lack of talent, but due to the difficulty of aligning all performance variables in a single race. Healy succeeded because her performance was not reliant on a single phase, but on the seamless integration of acceleration, curve, running transition, and finish. From a performance development perspective, this race highlights several key principles. First, the importance of restraint in the early phase, particularly indoors. Second, the value of progressive acceleration rather than abrupt speed changes. Third, the necessity of maintaining mechanical efficiency under fatigue conditions. It also reinforces Healy's position as a central figure in Irish sprinting. Her ability to translate outdoor capability into indoor success demonstrates adaptability, which is a critical trait at the international level. Many athletes struggle with this transition, but Healy's technical consistency allowed her to perform across environments. In competitive terms, the margin of victory was less important than the method used to achieve it. While other athletes executed strong individual phases, none matched the coherence of Healy's overall race structure. This is often the difference between winning and producing a historically significant performance. Ultimately, this race serves as a case study in how elite sprinting is not just about speed, but about precision timing and decision-making under physiological stress. Healy did not simply run faster than her competitors. She executed a more efficient and strategically optimized race model, which allowed her to convert preparation into a measurable and lasting result. A deeper layer of this performance emerges when analyzing how Phil Healy managed energy distribution across micro-phases of the race, rather than relying on a traditional binary split between acceleration and maintenance indoors. This distinction becomes blurred because the first bend effectively extends the acceleration phase, while simultaneously limiting maximal velocity expression. Healy adapted to this by treating the curve not as a constraint, but as an opportunity to build controlled speed. Her foot placement is particularly relevant. Each step landed slightly ahead, but never excessively in front of her center of mass, which minimized braking forces. On tight indoor bends, this detail becomes decisive because even minor inefficiencies are amplified by centrifugal load. Healy's ability to maintain lateral stability suggests strong core engagement and refined proprioception, allowing her to hold optimal angles without sacrificing stride rhythm. Another critical factor was her relaxation under pressure. While her cadence increased visibly through the second half of the race, there was no tightening in the shoulders or disruption in arm symmetry. This is often where indoor races are lost, especially when athletes attempt to compensate for perceived deficits caused by the stagger. Healy avoided this trap, indicating a high level of race intelligence and trust in her own pacing model. The psychological dimension cannot be overlooked. Running in an outside lane removes immediate visual references, which can either destabilize an athlete or sharpen internal focus. In Healy's case, it clearly reinforced the latter. Her execution reflects pre-race clarity, where the objective was not reactive competition, but proactive time targeting. This mindset is essential when aiming for record-level performances because it shifts emphasis from opponents to controllable variables. In the final meters, her mechanics did not collapse into survival mode. Instead, she maintained directional force application, driving through the line rather than reaching for it. This subtle distinction often determines whether an athlete merely wins or produces a peak performance outcome. Taken together, these elements illustrate that the record was not the result of a single exceptional moment, but of continuous technical discipline applied across every segment of the race. Each phase connected seamlessly, creating a performance that was both efficient and repeatable in structure, even if exceptional in outcome.